joking with the Russian president, defending the Saudi crown prince, and thanking the North Korean dictator for making him look good. President Trump spent several days seemingly cozying up to autocrats while further spurning the media. And we've seen this just in the past few hours. While Trump was making history by being the first president to step onto North Korean soil, he also took the opportunity to thank Kim Jong-un for making him look good.
When I put out the social media notification, if he didn't show up, the press was going to make me look very bad. So you made us both look good, and I appreciate it.
All throughout this trip to the DMZ, it seemed the president was talking about the press. So our panel is back with me now to discuss this. Bianna, it seemed like the president was preoccupied with how the press was covering his trip to the DMZ and his travels throughout Asia more generally. We can put on screen a few of the many examples of the president talking about fake news, complaining the press isn't covering him fairly. How odd is it that he was talking about this instead of diplomacy?
He complains to dictators about how the press is covering him. I mean, it's as if he's wanting them to console him or to commiserate with him on these issues. Look, I don't think anyone's denying that meeting with these leaders is a bad thing, but you meet with them with purpose. It's not a binary choice. It's not you hugs and kisses versus not meeting at all. You come in with a policy. You come in firm with where the U.S. stance is on multiple issues, not just for the photo op. And I think time and time again, yes, if you want to cool down a lot of the heated rhetoric that, by the way, was instigated in large part from this president. That's one thing. But when it comes to policy going forward or rewarding Kim Jong-un with a meeting, he's presented nothing. Kim Jong-un, in fact, since their last meeting, has increased their stockpile, right, not decreased it. So if the option right now is to focus on denuclearization, I don't know where that gets us.
Trump keeps doing the tease, the media tease. We're working on it. We're making great progress. It's going great. Stay tuned. Coming up, it's all going to work out. He's very effective at that with I think his fans, frankly, to say, I've got this. Trust me, we're working on it. Stay tuned. Stay tuned is the theme.
Stay tuned. I'm making history. What did he say when he met him? He said, big moment. And he said something else that I wish we wouldn't let go by, which he says, it's an honor to be here with you. You know what? It is not an honor to be there with a brutal, murderous dictator. And he acts as if the mere historic nature of it, the fact that he can now say, I'm the first U.S. president since the Korean War to step on this patch of soil, that in and of itself means nothing if it doesn't lead anywhere. And to your point, it hasn't led anywhere yet, except to get him ratings, is what he would say about it.
So let's call it what it is.
This is all optics.
This was a stunt.
Yes.
It's a total stunt.
This was a stunt.
And we're luckily talking about it as such. But again, this is that notion, when you give it attention, are you in fact rewarding him for the stunt? And that's something we still, 2 years into this presidency, grapple with and don't have a good answer for.
Right, right. Katie, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that he is so focused on his press and focused on his media that I don't think he can see beyond, look, I'm stepping over the line and meeting with Kim Jong-un. We exchanged lovely letters. He sent me a letter on my birthday. Why can't the press just understand what this means? He is a leader who relies so much on, he thinks he relies so much on his personal relationship and his charisma with these leaders. He really does believe that I can forge a bond with these leaders like no other leader can. And that's part of the second beat of his, this is such an amazing thing I'm doing, but none of you believe it and none of you care.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
let's give credit where it's due, though. The new White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, let's play the video again. She was there on one of her first few days in the job, taking over for Sarah Sanders. There were issues with getting the American camera crews into the room where all this was happening. And you can see her there physically making sure there's space for the American press. According to CNN's Jim Acosta, she was bruised just a little bit, looking no worse the wear afterwards, thankfully. But she was willing to stand up in a physical way for the American press.
She was, and that's good, but was she doing that for the press or was she doing that for the president? She knew the president.
Hopefully both.
Yes, in this case it worked out to both parties' advantage, but I assume the main motive there was making sure the press was able to chronicle a moment that, as we have just talked about, was all about a moment to be chronicled.
And beyond the significance of President Trump's comments earlier in the week with the Russian leader, about getting rid of journalists. This was apparently just a joke, but it was said about getting rid of journalists. This is not a joke in Russia. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it came also on the anniversary of the Capitol Gazette mass shooting, right, where 5 U.S. journalists were killed. No, since Vladimir Putin has been president of Russia, some 25 or 26 journalists have lost their lives covering politics and covering issues that clearly Vladimir Putin does not like. This is not a joke. And in Russia, in fact, people protest. There are thousands of students that they're kicked out of colleges, threatened to be kicked out of colleges if, in fact, they go out to protest. So the visual of the president laughing it up and complaining about journalists with Vladimir Putin, I think sends a terrible message, not only about where we stand as far as freedom of the press, but all of these dissidents around the world, whether it be Hong Kong, whether it be Russia, whether it be multiple countries that are dealing with this issue now, say America used to be the beacon that we turn to. Now, if the president's being flippant about it, what is at stake for us when we're trying to advocate for our freedoms too?
Jokes about fake news, they're never funny.
No.
They're never funny, especially in that situation.